Good morning, wrestling fans. Today is Monday, January 30th, 2023. Lance Brock here as we get set for Monday Night Raw tonight from Tulsa, Oklahoma, featuring all the fallout from this past Saturday night's Royal Rumble Premium Live event. What is next for the Bloodline and the undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns? Like I talked about yesterday, I do not think that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn should be on Raw tonight. Maybe not even SmackDown this Friday. Just keep them off TV for a little bit. Sell the beatdown from the Bloodline. But I wonder what we will see from the Bloodline tonight. Possibly an in-ring segment, and they might question Jey Uso why he just walked out of the ring and didn't join in on the beatdown of Sami Zayn. I saw yesterday Jey Uso tweeted that I'm out, kind of making it sound like he is out of the Bloodline. And I saw another one saying something about how he wants to fight Roman Reigns. Who knows if that could be used in the storyline or not. But definitely be interesting to see what happens next with the Bloodline and Jey Uso. Also, the Raw Women's Championship situation. Still Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair after defeating Alexa Bliss. I'm sure, like there usually is, the Raw after the Rumble, Bianca or Rhea Ripley might kind of tease about who she's gonna choose to face at WrestleMania, whether it'll be Bianca Belair or Charlotte Flair for the Raw or the SmackDown Women's Championships. Also, all the other fallout from the Royal Rumble tonight on Monday Night Raw. And another thing I haven't talked about yet on any of the podcasts was the newest issue of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, the best of 2022. I know sometimes before I have done an episode of Fanatic Unleashed about it. But this year, and I might, so I'm not going to talk about all of the awards right now. I noticed this year's issue, though, had a new award, Faction of the Year. And that award went to the Bloodline. That I was thinking about if that was an award they had back in the day. I'm sure that would have been given to groups like the Four Horsemen. That would be one of the first ones you would think of. And then later on, when it first started in 96, probably the NWO or DX, maybe even the Nation of Domination, but I'm not sure about that. Also, not other than everything that happened on the Rumble this past Saturday, not really a whole lot of news today. I'm sure probably some people who are listening are probably thinking, who cares? But yesterday, went to Walmart, got a new pack of AEW trading cards. Was actually the last pack there, so might be opening that up on a video, future video to be on the 360 Wrestling Podcast YouTube channels. So stay tuned for that. Speaking of the YouTube channels, we got the newest Pro Wrestling Crate unboxing. And while there is not too much to talk about, I want to mention something that I have been thinking about lately. I haven't decided for sure on anything just yet, but I've been thinking lately, I've been wanting to come up with a match rating system for the podcast. And I don't know if I'll do it for the TV recaps too, or maybe just like the pay-per-views, the big shows. But I was thinking, instead of the stars, because most people that review shows and matches, things like that, do stars, of course. The one who made the stars famous, Dave Meltzer. So I want to do something different. And I wish I would have came up with this idea, actually. What Pro Wrestling Illustrated does is when they review sometimes either wrestling books or DVDs, anything else that's out, they do a review of it and then they give it suplexes, like 3 out of 5 suplexes, 3.5 suplexes out of 5, like that. But I want to come up with something that is only for 360. I've been thinking about that for a little bit now, but I haven't decided on anything just yet. So if you have any suggestions or anything, you can leave it in the comments here on Spreaker or on the YouTube version of the podcast, or anywhere you listen, or the email 360wrestlingpodcasts@gmail.com. And that's another thing while still walking to work is wrestling magazines. I know magazines are, I don't know if I would say they're dying, but they might be close to it. People with the internet and the online digital magazines now, people don't really buy magazines anymore. I remember one time, especially during the Attitude Era, we used to be able to go into a store and there were sometimes 4, 5, maybe 6 different kinds of wrestling magazines on the shelves. The main two, you had the WWF and WCW magazines, and of course Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and they even had 2 other magazines of their own, Inside Wrestling and The Wrestler. And there were other ones, Wrestling World, Wrestling All-Stars. One was even called TV Wrestlers at one time, and there was just quite a few different ones. But now, the only one around is Pro Wrestling Illustrated. WWE stopped making their magazine quite a few years ago. And I remember, though, they said they were doing the regular magazine, but they would still put out special issues 3 times a year. And I think they did that maybe 2 or 3 times, and then they stopped that too. So it's kind of sad, I think, because I used to buy all the magazines. I'm not saying I had every single issue of every single magazine there was, but I tried to get as many as I could, though. Especially, there were times I had subscriptions to WWF magazine, WCW, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, which I do right now. And another magazine I just thought of, Wow World of Wrestling. There is just so many of them at one time. Like I said, you couldn't even go to a store without seeing wrestling magazines. But now, and it's not just wrestling magazines these days. If you notice, you go into a Walgreens or a Rite Aid or even a Walmart or a Target, you notice that the magazine section has gotten a lot smaller than it used to be. See, that's kind of, maybe I'll do a episode of GMWF or Fanatic Unleashed about this, and that's how younger wrestling fans these days don't really know how good they got it. Because back when I was younger, to get all the news and stuff, you had to either wait for the magazines to come out or subscribe to the Wrestling Observer or Pro Wrestling Torch. I think that was around back then too. When I was a kid, I think so. How long have they been around though? I don't remember for sure, but they probably were. And or if you spent a lot of money to get just a little bit of news, you could call the WCW hotline 1-900-909-9900. I'm sure that is a number that for anybody that was a fan at that time will always remember that number. So easy to remember, and you heard about it all the time from Mean Gene Okerlund. 1-900-909-9900. And that's it for this episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. Thank you everyone for listening. Hope everyone has a great Monday and enjoys Monday Night Raw tonight. Hope to have a recap on 360 Wrestling Fanatic. And we'll be back right here tomorrow morning for Good Morning Wrestling Fans. Remember, keep watching pro wrestling.